The Road to Recovery podcast, an SNJ Today presentation. Watch each week's TV program at snjtoday.com.
After nearly 8 years of drug addiction, Michael DeLeon spent 12 years in prison and halfway houses for a gang-related homicide. Since his time in prison, he's dedicated his life to making the world a better place. He is the founder of Steered Straight, which guides young people away from the dangers of drugs and criminal activity. As a motivational speaker, he has spent thousands of hours talking to millions of young adults, and he has worked tirelessly to help people suffering find the road to recovery.
Welcome to the Road to Recovery. I'm Michael DeLeon, your host, and I've been waiting for this show for a couple of weeks. My good friend Joe Misch here has joined us again, and his story was compelling. The show aired, a lot of people commented on it, and here we are back again to talk about maybe some non-politically correct, honest discussion. I think we're not talking honestly enough about addiction in America, and
I agree.
To borrow from Trump, we're going to make recovery great again.
I like that. I like that.
Listen, not to hurt anybody's feelings, not to step on any toes, not to be, hurtful or hateful or anything, but we got to talk honestly, right?
The thing is, it's not so much about hurting other people's. It's my opinion, your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. Like, I take a lot of heat for what I post on Facebook, and that's fine if you disagree with me. But I always use the expression, I throw myself under the bus, because who can tell me I'm wrong? Who can tell me that my experience or the way I feel about recovery is wrong?
Right.
Like at the end of the day, and I'm a big believer and advocate in this. At the end of the day, if you go to bed clean and sober, it doesn't matter to me how you do that. And I take a lot of heat for that because I am very open about the fact, for example, that I haven't had a sponsor in years. The last meeting I attended was probably a year and a half ago. And people tell me that I'm not in recovery because of my whole life is dedicated to helping other people find their true purpose and find their recovery. And I just don't understand that if I don't mock you for going to meetings, why I get mocked for not going to meetings when we're both clean at the end of the day. And that's what recovery is really all about.
I wish there isn't a panacea for recovery. There's not a one-size solution. That's what's wrong with education in America. We treat kids the same, cookie cutter, but there's no cookie cutter method and journey and path to recovery.
No, absolutely not.
I see 12-step fellowships working for a lot of people, I take a lot of heat for that too, as you know. I mean, I believe addiction is a disease, sorta, but I don't believe it's a disease from which there is no known cure, and I don't believe it's a disease that you have the rest of your life. Just recently I celebrated 10 years cancer-free, and when I go to the Relay for Life programs, I get up on stage with those beautiful old birds, 80, 90 years of age, and they're like, I beat cancer, and we do the survivor walk, and I stand there on stage to give some motivating speech about how I beat cancer. But when I say I beat addiction, people are like, you can't beat addiction. Addiction is a disease from which there is no known cure, and once an addict, always an addict. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work for me either. And, I hate to say, and I am honest.
But that doesn't mean I could go use.
No,
that's the other end of it. Well, that means you're going to go use.
Well, that's because that's what the literature says. But, listen, again, at the end of the day, if we stay clean, does it really matter? And like you said, the 12-step programs are fantastic. When I got clean, they say do 90 and 90. I did 237 meetings in my first 90 days.
Oh my gosh.
But the beauty of recovery me is growth.
Right.
Like if you would talk to me, you can't have the same conversation with me 5+ years being clean as you did with me my first year.
So
clean.
if you're not growing, you're standing still.
Exactly.
In many ways, you're going backwards because the rest of the world's moving forward.
You're right. And I don't like being complacent. Once I get complacent, I get comfortable. Once I get comfortable, I get lazy. I'd like to keep moving. I like to talk to everybody in recovery, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
Right.
And you know what? My opinion's only important to me.
Right.
I'm not trying to change your opinion.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we need more of. I think we need more people not to disagree, but to have different opinions, sit down and discuss their different philosophies of recovery, and at the end of the day, all shake hands and say, hey, we're all clean, congratulations. Like, this is how, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 different ways. But, the whole disease thing, like, we touched on that a little bit last time.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me. Again, you said cancer, congratulations on 10 years. My mom died of cancer. And that was a horrible disease.
Absolutely.
When my mom was diagnosed with cancer, she was given a list of things that she couldn't eat, exercises to do. She did everything. Everything she was told to do, she did. Everything she was told not to do, she didn't do. My mother still died, okay? here's the thing.
That's a disease.
I guarantee that if you put heroin down, you're not going to die a year later from a heroin overdose. It's not possible. So is it a disease? If that's what helps you, because here's the truth, and no one's going to say this, and I take so much heat for this. The truth is, and I've lost family members, and I've lost friends. I've buried over 130 people, so I get it. But the truth is, people don't want to believe that their family member or their loved one just died, just chose drugs over being a family. So it's easier to classify it as a disease, and I get that, and it makes sense to me. It does, but I've worked in treatment centers, and I've had kids come in 5 and 6 times. Hey, Mike, what brings you back? Well, Joe, I have an incurable disease of addiction. Well, maybe if we didn't brainwash them into thinking that it was an incurable disease of addiction, they'd have to come up with a different excuse.
Right.
And
like they failed to take responsibility.
It's just, they're not given any responsibility. They just get to bounce in and out of treatment centers and have people hold their hands until their insurance runs out or until there's no more county funding. And then they're like, see you, you're on your own. Meanwhile, most of these kids, and I will say kids, and some of whom are 30 years old, have kids, several kids. They have responsibilities that they're not accountable for. They don't have jobs. They're bouncing in and out of treatment centers because the fact is they're smart enough to know how to play the system. And life is easier without accountability. Hell, I'd love to not have bills. I'd love to have somebody make 3-4 meals for me a day. Like, I would love that. I don't have that option anymore. And it's terrifying because we have a generation of young men who are supposed to be men, but they're trapped in a teenage mindset.
And we're trapping them even further with language and self-talk about they don't have to take responsibility because it's an incurable disease. It's crazy. Honesty is what's needed more now than ever. Honesty about addiction, honesty about recovery, and honesty about treatment, which we'll talk about right after this. Back on the road to recovery with Joe Misch, my equal as far as making people mad listen, I love what you say. You say your opinion means nothing to anybody else except you. It means a lot to me, and we share a lot. No, we don't disagree on everything. I think you said it in the beginning, growth. If you're not growing in your recovery, is it really recovery? Are you moving forward? Are you growing? Growth is important in life, not just in recovery, right?
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, like, I don't come home from school and watch cartoons anymore because I'm not 5 years old anymore.
Right.
Like, I've matured. I grow. Right. And that's what life is all about. And that's what recovery has given me. It's given me a chance to just live life again. Right. Be a better person, be a different person.
Now, you were very involved in the treatment industry, and you've left. You're you're fed up with the treatment industry.
I'm fed up. I walked away. I've been blackballed by some places,
Not only treatment industry, but the insurance industry you're disgusted with.
I'm sickened by it. And
you're disgusted by the pharmaceutical industry.
We don't have enough time here today. I'm client needs first. And I don't care what facility I work for, I don't care what company name, I don't care who signs my checks. I believe in clients. I believe in clients' rights and clients' needs. And when clients are being taken advantage of and they're being lied to, and there is no treatment on the table when treatment is being promised, not only to them, but to their families, so they're reaching out for anybody. And, I can't be part of it. And, and until I'm able to start my own thing, until I'm able to do what I want to do, unfortunately, I don't even know where to start right now. I really don't, because there's just so much BS out there. It seems like you almost need to be full of it to get a place of your own and to make money. And I don't care about making money. Like, I want to pay my bills. I want my daughter to be proud of me. That's it. Like, that's all I want in my life. And I see all these people just filling their pockets and not caring about human life.
And people are dying.
And people are dying. People are dying and they don't care. They're like a number. And that just infuriates me. So I used to think I could make a difference from the inside, but I can't. And I don't know if me walking away makes a difference, but to me it does, because I can at least sleep at night right now.
And you're going to make a difference from the outside.
I'm going to try. I'm trying.
You're not tied to anybody. You could say what you feel.
No, and that's the thing too. Like, now I can just be me. I don't have to worry.
Well, we don't have to name people or name programs.
No,
and stuff,
nor would I.
And like you said, I believe this wholeheartedly. I believe that there's different paths. I believe people have gone away and gotten help and found treatment on a beach. But I see so much more 5 to 1, 10 to 1 people going to find recovery on a beach somewhere for 28 days and coming back to madness and dying the day they come back.
You know, it's funny because I hear the beach talk, and I hear it more and more because it's becoming so prevalent. But, you know, part of my job was to give lectures and was to talk. And I used to be a public speaker. Well, I guess I kind of still am. But I tell people all the time, recovery comes from within. And that's the secret of true recovery. You can take recovery with you anywhere. It doesn't matter what fellowship you belong to. It doesn't matter what church. It doesn't matter what rehab you go to. You know, I didn't not get clean and sober at the cleanest 5-star rehab. I got clean and sober because I was either going to die or I was going to get clean. And I made the choice. And it was hard. And it's still hard to this day. Like, recovery does not mean life becomes easy and great. It just means I'm able to accept things. I'm able to deal with things instead of hiding them or drowning myself in a bottle or blacking out for 3 days. I deal with them. Of course life hurts. Things are hard. But you know what? I face them today. That's the difference.
Right. Facing recovery, bringing it from within. I think
Yes.
everything comes from within. The growth comes from
Absolutely.
within. Direction comes
Absolutely.
from, your passion comes from within.
Yes. Because if I'm not open about this, and if I'm not honest, then what am I doing? You know, I'm lying to myself. And that was the hard part for me, like really getting to the point, like people ask me what my secret is. I have 2 secrets: finding purpose in life and honestly not caring. And I don't mean not caring in a sense. I don't care what people think of me. And
Right.
I used to. When I first got clean, I had to get clean. I had to tell everybody like, oh, well, I went to this many meetings, or I did this, or I did, and I wanted people to be proud of my recovery. But I wasn't proud. I was like calling my daughter's mother and saying like, listen, I have to pick my daughter up late because I have a meeting to go to. Or, you know, I'm going to this other meeting because they all want me to go. What did I get clean for? Did I get clean to live in the rooms, or did I get clean to be a father? You know, and again, not knocking the rooms. I'm just saying I had to prioritize my life, and I had to take my life back, and that's what I did.
Those steps were important to me early on. I walked them, worked them, embraced them, internalized them, personalized them, and I got to step 12 and had a spiritual awakening. And God is a huge part of my life. My higher power is where all my power comes from, and I think that's important for me. So what's important for me might not be important to you. But more honesty about addiction right after this commercial break with Joe Misch. Back on the road to recovery, Big Joe, my favorite guest. Oh man, listen, we could, if this was cable, we could say anything.
Oh,
no, I don't know.
yeah.
But hey, listen, I don't want to use profanity, and I'm very upset with what's happening. What I'm seeing, you know, people snatching up kids with great insurance Cadillac plans and sending them to a beach. Hey, go down there for 28 days, and then you relapse, and we'll bring you back, and then you relapse, or you bring you back, or like some places even in New Jersey that get someone clean, and then they let them relapse right then and go to a detox, and then come back with no consequences.
No consequences at all.
And then run the cycle until insurance is over, and then good luck to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I was
I
at
know.
Camden the other night, 11 people that we sat and talked to. Every single one of them needed to go. You know, it was amazing. Here's a kid, right? And I know this is what will infuriate you. Here's a kid on methadone at the clinic in Camden for 2.5 months. He started on 30 milligrams of methadone. 10 weeks into this, he's at 160 milligrams of methadone.
Whoa.
And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I can't even find a detox to take him with 160 milligrams of methadone.
No way.
And forget recovery, forget treatment. 160 milligrams of methadone on a daily basis.
No.
But here's the kicker. He's shooting fentanyl every single day. Every single day. His girlfriend's with him, homeless. She's on 130 milligrams of methadone. She's smoking crack every single day. And I'm like, you go to the clinic, you must test positive for crack and you must test positive for fentanyl. What do? Nothing.
Nothing.
They do 3 IOP meetings a week, 9 hours a group. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Aren't you talking about using your other drugs of choice? What are we doing for those kids? We have got them sucked into a legal drug distribution system that's being paid for by the federal government, the state government, and they're living in a tent behind the Speedway gas station in Camden.
Right.
And he has an abscess infection on his back that's so disgusting, you can't even show that on cable TV.
Wow.
What's the answer?
I mean, there is no answer. There's no answer at this point, you know. I do, here's something that we talked about earlier about me changing my opinion about things. Like 5 years ago, Suboxone, methadone, and marijuana maintenance was a no-no. today, if done properly, which is not what you just talked about, but if done properly, can give you life. It can give you, and no, it's not a cure-all. And no, it is putting a Band-Aid on a shotgun wound. But you know what? It's going to let you live long enough to make the decision.
Right.
Okay, and that's, we talked
about. Get a clearer head.
Get a clear head. And we touched on this last time I was here. Are we trying to stop people from using drugs, or are we trying to save lives? Because I do believe they are two completely separate battles, and we can't combine them. And until we figure out which one we're fighting, we're going to lose.
I thought a lot about that after you said that we can't combine them. I mean, I know that we can't do both in certain situations, but it's about saving lives,
It's about saving lives at this point. It is. Too many people are dying. They call this an epidemic, and everybody's pointing the finger, and everybody wants help, but everybody wants a hand. Like it's we're hamsters in a circle. We really are. We're just running around in a maze.
Newsweek magazine had an article recently about the lifespan of middle-class Americans and how it's decreasing for the first time in our history.
Yes. You think about that. Why? Why? Because people are 18 to 35 years old, supposed to be in the prime of their lives, are overdosing and dying for no reason. Think about the kids. Think about the problem we have today. Think about the problem we're going to have in 30 years when we have a whole generation of kids being raised by their grandparents. Because both parents have OD'd or one parent has OD'd. Like we don't think about that. We don't think about the damage this is doing to our country and to the future.
Your daughter's how old now?
My daughter's 11.
Yeah, I mean, she's got peers in school that are vaping.
Yes.
They think it's so cool, juuling and vaping. It's an epidemic among middle school and high school.
Absolutely. You talk about a gateway drug.
The biggest gateway of them all is nicotine,
right?
Alcohol, nicotine, THC, biggest gateway.
It's being marketed to kids. You walk into a vape store, it's like candy cane or cotton candy. Like, come on. It's just, but people don't see that. I don't understand why people don't say it. I don't understand why people don't talk about it.
Well, CNN had an article last week. It's an epidemic among high school kids. Everywhere I go across the country, I hear the same thing. 30% of middle school kids, 60% of high school kids are vaping. You're ingesting nicotine into your brain, the deadliest drug of all. That's a fact.
Yes.
Deadliest drug of all. And what's going to happen to that adolescent brain that we've stimulated? What are we going to do?
We got a bunch of 30-year-old kids running around. That's what's happening.
But we got to do something. Well, what are we going to do?
Boy, you're asking me. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I think there's so many battles right now being fought. I think we need to prioritize. I just think we just need to attack it. We need to be honest. We need to be honest. More people need to be honest. More people who actually have a voice need to be honest and need to tell the truth.
Well, what do you tell someone who says, well, shh, if we don't talk about it, it'll go away?
Oh, I'll talk about that. I'm from Marlton, New Jersey, and people don't realize, how bad it is in Marlton. But people don't want to talk about it. People don't want, to acknowledge the fact that there's a problem. I got high in Marlton all the time. I drank in Marlton all the time. I left my home in Marlton, drove to Camden, and then came home and got high. It's possible. It's possible. It's out there. If you want to get high, you're going to get high.
We got to talk about it. We got to talk about it honestly. So with Big Joe Misch, honest discussion about addiction. We'll be back on the road to recovery right after this. Back on the road to recovery. Joe Misch, appreciate you coming down and talking again. And you're working on something, Revive Recovery, right?
Revive Recovery, believe it or not, I started off as I wanted the logo. I wanted a name. I wanted, to establish myself in the recovery field. So I got the logo, I turned it into an LLC, and I started making recovery jewelry, believe it or not.
Wow.
I started polishing rocks. I've gotten away from that, but my hope is to turn Revive Recovery into some sort of housing, some sort of
sober living,
something. Like I own the name. It's a pretty cool name. It's a pretty snazzy logo. Sure. I like it. So I want to do something with it. I just, I don't really know where to start.
But people are struggling right now, and you want them to ask for help. First step is asking for help.
First step is asking for help. First step,
families asking for help, addicts asking for help, siblings of addicts asking for help.
It just my biggest problem was I was afraid to ask for help. And if I would have, and I tell everybody, like, if I would have asked for help sooner, like, who knows how different my life would be today. So just don't be afraid of it. And that's why it's so important to be honest about it, Mike, because it's not something that needs to be sugarcoated. If it's a problem, admit it, talk about it. It ruined my life. It ruined my family's life because I had too much pride or too much ego, or I had this fictitious personality that I wanted everybody to think I was stronger than what I was. Ask for help. recovery has been the hardest and most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow,
It really has, and it's
hardest
constant.
and most rewarding.
Oh, it is. It's constant. It's every day, because my life is not easy. It's not. And there are days today when I want to drink, and there are definitely days I want to get high, and I'm not going to lie to you about that. Why would I? You know? But ask for help. And if you don't find the help you want, ask somebody else, and keep asking until you find, because there is help out there. And I know I bash, and I know I have very strong opinions, but there are people out there who truly care all fellowships and all treatment centers. And sometimes you just have to catch them at the right time, at the right place. You know, it is possible to get help.
Yeah, there's great people. Listen, I'll help
absolutely.
anybody. My wife, she answers her phone 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, so do I. I know if anybody was to ask you for help, it doesn't matter what day it is, you'd help them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what, it's funny, you ask my 11-year-old daughter, like I'm on the phone, she'll be like, Daddy, I'll be like, what am I doing? She'll be like, helping people. And she knows, you know, she may not understand, but she gets it. Because if somebody didn't help me, then, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here with you.
Yeah, you definitely have a passion.
I do. I'd like to channel it a little better, because, you know, I would like to do more. I don't feel like I do enough, to be honest with you.
Well, I believe what you said, and I do think it's going to get worse. And what's going to happen with this next generation? Your daughter, your 11-year-old daughter, we are doing this for her and for her generation.
Well, I use myself as an example. I didn't get clean until my daughter was 6 years old. What would have happened if I would have died when my daughter was 6 years old? Then my daughter would have had the last 5 years without a father. And that happens all the time.
Well, Revive Recovery, check that out. Joe at Revive
Joe
Recovery.
at ReviveRecovery.com if you want to.
It'll be on the screen. Reach out, ask for help. Don't be afraid. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. And sometimes if you're weak, maybe you need to lean on someone else. We'll love you till you can love yourself. With Joe Misch, Revive Recovery, I'm Michael DeLeon. This is The Road to Recovery. We'll see you on the next episode.